I don't care if we're ever big in the U.S. But be huge in the Ukraine.
Oh,
like we're like
yes.
like we're the most popular podcast in Ukraine.
Hang on. Well, welcome back to this episode of Hang On with Nick and Blake. Now that's a good idea. Finally, we get to the heart of it.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah.
Boom bam bam clickety clack. We're good. I was watching a video.
Yeah.
And it was about some of the stadiums they're building for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
Oh, okay.
And one of the stadiums they're building is, get this, built with recycled storage containers.
Oh, my God.
It's like they're doing modular. They're like building storage containers that are going to be concession stands and storage containers that are going to be bathrooms. And they're building the entire stadium with storage containers. Obviously, there will be some sort of like framework around it as well, but the majority of the stadium is going to be built by with storage containers. And the idea is that when the tournament's over, they're just going to dismantle the stadium and recycle the storage containers or sell them or whatever.
That's fantastic. You know how when they take a stadium down and they renovate or something, you can buy the chairs? I wonder if you could buy a concession stand Connex box from Qatar
maybe
after
so, here in a few years.
Yeah, because like what's shipping costs on that, right? They just put it on the boat and ship it. It's already packaged.
It's a great idea, though, because the Olympics recently has gone out of their way, and I think the World Cup to some extent, but definitely the Olympics has gone out of their way to give the Olympics to like developing countries, like they did it with Greece and they did it with Brazil. Not necessarily that those are third world countries, but they were kind of building infrastructure, and they did it as a way to infuse a bunch of money and cash flow into an area that needed it in the form of building, one, the visitors, but two, building the infrastructure. But what has ended up happening is those places have ended up losing lots of money and being in worse financial shape after the Olympics than before the Olympics.
Is that just for how much it costs to build everything?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because they have to build all the infrastructure and they have to build all the same. Like if you do an Olympics in America, we have the infrastructure in the stadiums. We don't have to build like anything. You
just got to scale it down.
Like decorate some stuff. Yeah, we got to make the stadium smaller. Anyway, so the modular, like building one that you can just tear down and build it for relatively cheap, I think is a pretty cool idea. Now, I don't think Qatar's hurting for money, but it's still a cool idea. How many subscribers do you think YouTube is our largest following, or?
Yeah, YouTube is definitely our largest. It has the 20-something. Everything else is about 16 or 17. Recently, we got people in Ukraine listening to us.
Yeah,
Ukraine, hell yeah! What's up?
I like how...
I wish I knew something in Russian, or... Yeah, they speak Russian, right? I think so, yeah. I'm really wondering why people in the Ukraine are listening to this. It's kind of... I don't know if I don't know if I want to do the podcast anymore.
Very clear that we're not cutting down the numbers at all. So when you hear like 16 or 17, it's not 1,000 or...
Yeah.
It is 16 or 17 people.
I think most people that had this few followers have not done this. When you have more episodes than followers...
I like how I load the YouTube video from occasion. I was like, oh, the view count hasn't been updated yet. It's still on 1. I'm like, nope, that was me yesterday.
Yeah, we are like a multinational podcast now. I really want to just blow up, and like I don't care if we're ever big in the US. But be huge in the Ukraine.
Oh,
like we're like
yes.
like we're the most popular podcast in Ukraine.
All right, so I want to start a new segment that is me pitching you ideas, and then you can't say I'm out, because then it'll be a very short segment.
That's what I do.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
Hang on. I'm going to hit you with hang on.
Okay.
I got an idea real quick.
Oh, God. My heart can't take it. He got so serious.
No, see, all right, so I had this idea the other day. A big political topic or political issue. We're coming up on the election in 2020. But one of the things that people talk about is paid family leave, paid paternity or maternity leave, and whether or not that should be required or whether or not that should be, in the U.S., it's not super common. It's I feel like it's maybe 50-50. Depends on what business you're working
Yeah.
for. Some businesses do it, some businesses don't. There's no real standard. But so what I was thinking of is, so in the US, you can't, if you have a child and then your child is sick and so you need to spend time in the hospital or whatever, you can't really be fired, but you just may not be paid while you're on this, leave period or whatever the case may be. So what I wanted to come up with was basically an insurance company or an insurance policy that was specifically for that, for having a child.
Okay.
So you would pay into it.
But when would you start paying into it?
When you started a job, just like you would pay for
Got
health
it.
insurance,
Okay.
or you could even sign up maybe as an individual.
Well, my thing with that initially is I'm not 8 months pregnant and now I sign up.
Oh no, you can't. Like there would have to be some sort of
Gotcha.
like you can't be pregnant at the time, or if you are pregnant, like there'd have to be some sort of maturation period where you have to have been paying in it for a year before, or 6 months, or I don't know exactly how the specifics of it would work.
But essentially, it's a loan to help people get through financial period while they're taking leave.
Well, so what you paid in would be based on your salary.
Okay.
And then there'd be different tiers of coverage. So like the minimum tier would be like, hey, we'll pay you 75% of your salary for X number of weeks. And so when you went on leave, you would get paid that X% of your salary for however many weeks.
So
And then maybe
the reason
top tier,
insurance makes money, though, is people not getting sick. But people paying into having children and leave know that they're going to have kids.
but what if they don't though? Some people say they're going to have kids, but they don't know if they're going to have kids, that year or the next year, or sometimes they
But
can't.
then they sign up later.
They can't have kid. Well, that's why you'd have to have some sort of.
Would you make people that
And the way
definitely don't want kids sign up for it?
Well, you can't make people sign up for it, and that's the way insurance works as well. Is that like you have 200 people signed up, because what you're making money off of is one, this large amount of money that's coming in, and then you're drawing interest off this money, and then there's some people who are going to pay into this for some amount of time, and they're never going to draw out as much as they've paid in.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be people who've paid in, and then they're going to draw out. Insurance is a very lucrative business. I don't know all the ins and out of how they make it profitable.
I do. It's a good idea because it's a need people have, and people would be willing to pay a lot of money to spend more time with their kids.
And businesses, I think, would, just like they do with health insurance, you could offer them to pay, like match whatever the employee is putting in. And that way business could say, hey, we offer 12 weeks paid. I'm doing air quotes here. You can't see that. But we offer 12 weeks paid maternity or paternity leave when you have a child. But really what they mean is you have to sign up for this program and you have to put in $25 a week. They're putting in $25 a week. So it's a thing that they can offer to their employees.
Is there, one of the ideas I like about this is essentially you're paying for days off later.
Yeah.
Is there a way my hour of like paid leave that I get each year can be transferred into a larger bank? Like if I'm someone that just wants to work 4 or 5 years, not take any days off, can I roll that into an account independent of my employer and then take like a year off?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, I originally had this idea for like paternity or maternity leave, but then I also was thinking like you could also do this with other things. Like let's say you have older parents and they get sick and need you to take time off to help them, or you decide that you want to just work nonstop and pay money into this thing and then get paid for some amount of time to go take a year vacation and travel.
Yeah,
to
that's
work.
what I'm saying.
I think if you're that person who's going to want to take the year vacation and go travel, you probably would be better off to just pay, depending on how your company works. Like if your company's matching what you're putting into it, then maybe it would be beneficial for you to do that. But if you're the sole provider or sole person inputting into this policy, it probably would be better for you to just get a savings account.
Do you think there's a business opportunity for someone planning a year off for someone? So someone's taking the gap year in between high school and college.
We did this last episode.
Did we?
Or like, yeah, you don't remember College 2.0?
No, I do remember College
Or-
2.0, but this is lumping our all-inclusive vacation in with, hey, I want to take a year off and just go see the world. And it's a world trip of, like, not too much sightseeing, maybe a little bit of work here or there to pay to offsuit some stuff.
Yeah, there are some people who do. I
Kind
can't
of like
think-
a study abroad
I
or a
can't think of the
volunteer
name of-
program.
I wish I could think of the name of the one company that does, and they do them anywhere from like 2 weeks to like 6 months.
Yeah.
And you pay a certain amount of money, and you go with this big group, and you travel around. Sometimes they're just in 1 or 2 countries. Like sometimes they're like, you're going to travel in Europe. So those things already kind of exist.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think your market is pretty small of people who are going to want to take a year off.
That's fair.
But maybe people who are going to want to take. But then you're just going back to some of our original ideas of like the all-inclusive tour and all-inclusive vacation things.
I think what we're really trying to say is a cry for help. We need some vacation.
Yeah. You know, have you ever? My fiance follows a bunch of them on Instagram. Whenever we go somewhere, she's like, "Oh, let's look at this this travel blogger or this, as they call them, influencer on Instagram."
Yeah. What an interesting
I know, right?
thing to come out of
So-
the world.
Now, all these influencers go to these hotels and they wear these clothes, and that's how they get their money, is because they're advertising the clothes they're wearing and the hotel they're staying at or whatever. But I feel like if you're an influencer who has thousands of followers and people are, reading and wanting to do everything that you're doing, I think you could make a decent amount of money by putting together travel packages and then selling them
Like
to
a
your
follow
followers.
along?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Even if it's not with you, even if it's just like, hey, I went and did these things, I can sell you this entire package so you can go do exactly what I did, but do it in a, for a discounted rate because I got it all lumped together.
Yeah, so it's kind of making like a how-to or a let's play video, but you're following the person. You can even take their same route. GPS could be involved. Like a very robust application to help you do that.
I feel like it would be pretty easy. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
most of the restaurants they're going to, or the stuff they're wearing, or the hotels they're staying at, they already have deals with those. Those hotels are paying them to come there. So if
Can
they
you
said, "Hey,"
imagine if you just paid to have your suitcase already packed and ready. Like, I assume there's some people out there that like their appearance enough and pay enough in money where they want new outfits for a trip and would pay for a suitcase preloaded, all their size.
yeah, you just input into the app whatever your sizes are.
Yeah.
And then when you show, you don't even fly there with a suitcase.
There
when
we
you
go.
show up to your hotel,
just
there's a suitcase there. Yeah.
Now, do you think you could have a hotel service that has clothes for people so that you don't have to pack a bag anymore?
Now that's actually a pretty good idea that I've never really thought of. But you have a hotel.
Yeah.
And in this hotel, they have clothes
Mm-hmm.
that you can use.
Right.
You have to return them, or maybe you can keep them for a fee.
Yep. Like the bathrobes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could keep it. But I'm thinking like business
Yeah,
people
that's
are
what-
probably the
no,
best.
that's why we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So you get there, and they have like a warehouse full of clothes.
Yeah.
Or like a
men's warehouse.
It's like a shopping mall
Mm-hmm.
full of clothes, if you will. But they also have like beauty products or shampoos and and it's kind of a la carte. You say, hey, I want this, or
in charge of the company.
with
Or a rental. I love the rental.
beauty products. That's something that people can just bring in like a small bag, but
Yeah.
you're giving these people the
But
option.
you're limited how many ounces, right?
True.
So if you
But-
know the brand,
But
they
then
could have
the
it
problem with
ready.
that is that you have to buy the entire. Like if I'm buying a thing of shampoo, I got to buy the entire little thing of shampoo.
But we could buy those little sample sizes and give them to people at the hotel.
But I think this needs to be more like high end stuff, and I don't know if like. I'm thinking more of like women's makeup. They're going to want to bring their own makeup. Like shampoos, conditioners, facial scrubs, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You could offer that. But I really liked the clothing idea.
Because I'm just thinking of a suit. And for guys, it's very easy. I don't know all the challenges you'd have with some of the women's
But you
clothes.
could basically just have a large selection, and then, it's like I said, a la carte. And you could even have either one, like a personal you could say, hey, these are my sizes.
Yeah, like
this
a tailor.
This is the event that I'm going to. And then when you get there, there's like a closet full of clothes for you to wear. And then if you don't like that, you can say, I don't like any of these, bring up another stuff. But it's like a tailored, package.
Tailor package.
For you. If they didn't want to do that, you could have like an area where they could go in and basically shop, but they're not buying the stuff. They're
Right.
just renting it for the evening or for the weekend or whatever. Because especially, like, let's say you're from the Midwest or you're from Florida and you're traveling to New York City
Ooh, there
or
you go.
Maine or whatever.
All right.
Or you're going on a ski trip. You live in Florida, Miami.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, you're going on a ski trip out in Vail, and
You don't want to buy winter clothes.
Yeah, you don't want to buy a bunch of winter clothes so you can look good while you're walking around the resort in Vail after you've been skiing all day.
Yeah.
So you just say like, hey, these are my sizes. This is kind of my style. Have a closet full of stuff when I get there.
So someone who's never been to Martha's Vineyard, or what did you call it?
The Cape.
The Cape.
Well, Martha's Vineyard's on the Cape. It's an island.
So
But
I
yeah,
show
whatever.
up in my jeans and a t-shirt, and they're like, oh no.
Yeah.
But now I need a place where they can give me the local threads so that I will fit in at the brunch place.
Also, that way you don't have to pack. How annoying is it to travel with all this stuff and pay for bags and
Yeah. Like if you don't fly Southwest and you have to pay $50 a bag, how much would charging
Well, and then every time you get there, all of your clothes are wrinkled and they need ironed and
Yeah.
they need steamed. I think this is a great idea. It would have to be in. I just think it would be something that
Yeah.
a hotel, an already existing hotel, could offer.
Yes.
And it would be an incentive for people to come
to that
hotel. Especially think about the hotels that are quote unquote like business hotels, and you have all these business people coming in. They could literally just have a room full of suits and dress shirts and
Right.
ties and women's dress suits and women's dresses and dressier shoes, and say, hey, show up
the day before.
the day before. We'll make sure that you look great for your event. You will have a different suit for every day of this conference that you're going to, because we're going to provide you with a high-end tailored, perfectly fit for you suit every day of the conference.
Yeah.
Let's say you got multiple meetings in a day. We can provide you with multiple suits, so you're
Shirts or
always
cufflinks
going
all
to
the way
look the best for this
So
event that you're going
I think
to.
one of the better places to start this would actually be Las Vegas for a couple reasons. One, they do a bunch of conferences that aren't necessarily high end, like CES, right? They have a bunch of tech people there. You have the reps that have to look a certain way. You'll have people who's a little bit more affluent there, and then like Joe YouTuber who just wants to cut on the latest tech.
And a service like this that could provide me with very nice looking and pressed and ready to go clothing for a charge, but nothing not the cost of buying it.
Right.
And I could just dress in all kinds of new clothes and stuff for the weekend. I would totally do that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I would do it every time I traveled.
No, but if you want to go to a nice restaurant, and let's say even you don't like the idea, but you want to go to a nice restaurant, you forgot to pack, a blazer or something that they needed.
I was exactly thinking that, because how many times have you forgotten something and you're like, crap, I wish that I had this thing, and you can say, hey, I need a
I need a pair of
tie
socks
or-
or a tie or suspenders or a cummerbund, whatever it is. I also like the idea of if you're having a wedding at a venue,
yeah.
you can opt to have this service at that venue. That way everything is there.
Yeah.
So if you pop a button or there's something wrong with the groom's outfit before the wedding, you have a service on site.
Or, I like the wedding idea, you are having waiters and waitresses or staff at the wedding, and you want them all to look nice, and you want them all to look kind of the same.
Man. That is something. So weddings make a ton of money.
Let's say
having the wait staff dressed up as you want seems like a great idea.
Yeah, but there's nothing right now like where I could do that.
Yes, there's not at all.
Unless I just wanted to spend a ton of money.
Yeah, that company pays for their outfit. But now we're saying we're coming in. We have the outfits for your workers. We'd like them to wear giant Pikachu costumes.
Yeah, or I could say
Or stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers.
So hold on. Hang on.
Comic-Con?
I guarantee there is a Star Wars market where if there was an event going on and you had outfits like stormtrooper gear for everyone to wear in different sizes, people would start dressing up.
Yeah, because how many people were like, man, I would like to dress up for a Comic-Con, but I don't want to spend the time and money to get a costume right.
Yes.
The Princess Leia in, Jabba's chambers, that a one-time rental, because you know what's going on.
That's
Hisham has no clue what we're talking about.
It's a bikini type thing. Yeah.
I like the idea. There's a lot of ways you could go with it. I feel like it would be hard to...
I think if it was mobile enough, you could show up on college campuses for career fairs, because college kids got $20 or $50, but they don't have enough to buy a full suit.
That's not a bad idea. Or even college kids who are going for interviews, maybe not even a career fair, a pair of khakis and some ties. You could have different options. Yeah. You could even have an option that only did ties, or an option that only did blazers. But I think there would be something for that, because then I'm not having to take up closet space. I'm not having to take up, and it could be like a fun, like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna get today.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of like, hey, if you like this shirt, just keep it. Don't send it back, and now it's yours.
Yeah. When I think, if you consider a spot like, I'm going to say New York, because that's the only city I know that's big enough that not everybody has a washer and dryer in their unit.
Yeah.
So now you're cutting down on your cleaning expenses. So
and just if you have a suit, it's going to be dry clean only. And dry cleaning a suit, it's about $15 for a suit. So like, realistically, you can wear a suit depending on where you're at and time of year. You can wear it a few times. But another thing that you would market to this is like, hey, you're a lawyer, you're like a young lawyer at this new firm or whatever, you're going to be looking sharp every single day. Like every day you're going to have a new tie on, a new dress shirt, a new jacket on, and it's always going to be pressed, clean, starched, and great looking.
And the other thing is, people's weight fluctuates. Some people.
Yeah. So
if you're gaining or losing weight, you're not buying new or suits each time you lose an inch.
Yeah, you send them back and you call them and say, hey, those pants are fitting a little large. I've lost a little bit of weight. Next time you send me some, can you send me the size down?
Because if you had 2 or 3 sets of suits based on weight fluctuation, now you've just spent a crazy amount of money.
And you could build your inventory pretty easily, I feel like, because you'd go to some company and be like, hey, I need 100 of these suits made in all these sizes. They're going to cut you a deal. Or even go to like a department store and be like, hey, you guys are going to throw all this stuff away because it's last season's thing or whatever. I'll buy all of it from you in bulk for X amount of dollars.
Yeah, I think having the buying power of like wholesale on either new or old things would give you a lot of flexibility in what you had in store.
And I think you would just market towards young professionals. Market for kids who are just out of college, a lot of college debt, want to look nice at their new job, their first real job, but don't want to spend thousands of dollars on building a closet full of nice looking clothes. And don't want to spend $100 a week on dry cleaning.
I think eventually what everyone's moving towards is like a delivery box at the beginning of the week that sets you up for the week. So I want to have my suits, I want to have my lunches, my breakfast, all my food set up, everything I need for the week delivered, and then anything I need to return at the end of the week.
Hang on. Thank you for listening to our show. To participate, send your comments or business ideas to thehangonpodcast@gmail.com. Keep us motivated by subscribing to us on YouTube and iTunes. And tell a friend. This is the Hang On Podcast. It was an honor. See you next week.